please?
Yeah. Yes, I think no. Yeah, you can see the screen, right?
Yes, thank you.
Right. So defining the business case is what we must understand in the beginning. Scope of the project, why is it important and how scope is important. I've already explained that. After that, you need to define the business case. So this is the preliminary requirements which normally we collect it from the customer. So this is what generally the defining the business case is all about. It means when you are trying to understand the requirements from the customer perspective, one must understand what exactly the situation customer is. Why is it so important for a customer to provide the solution at this level? Followed by this, we must be knowing about what are the different alternatives a customer has, all that. So we need to understand about the kind of business situation which customer has and for what reason. So the detailed understanding is really important for any business analyst team to understand here. So while we are understanding about the business case, there are few points we need to consider. There are few points we need to understand while we are defining the business case. So those are important for us to move on to the next level, because we need to understand the requirements. We need to manage the requirements throughout the project. If you want to manage the projects throughout that, if you want to manage throughout the project, the requirements and all that, so one must be knowing about what are the different aspects has to be taking into an account, the situation of the project. All these things must be known to us well in advance. So then it is easy for us to explain what exactly the customer requirements were. At the same time, we will be knowing about what customer wants, what customer demands, all that. So there are few points which we need to be focused more of in reference to the case study itself is in reference to the what we call business case itself is concerned are as follows. The first we must be knowing about, let me open the Word document and highlight. Right. So defining the business case, the following points need to understand. So these following points we need to understand if you want to define the business case for any of the project. So the first point, what is that we need to understand here is you need to define or understand the business situation. Understand the business situation is the first one. Second, problems in that situation. This is what we call it as business problems. Okay. Business problems in that situation. Next, how important to provide solution to the customer. How important to provide solutions to the customer. What are the alternatives to provide the solution? What are the alternatives to provide the solution? Next, who are beneficiaries? Who are going to benefit out of this? So, followed by this, of course, these are common, right? So, objectives, need, scope of the project, right? So, these are these are the basic things. Again, these objectives we divide into business and project objectives, you know it, followed by assessing the business need, scope of the project. So when you are defining any business case for any customer requirements, first of all, you need to understand the business situation. Now I'm just showing you a case study in reference to the cloud-based, which is discussed a couple of times in the previous. I'll be showing a case study. Whatever explanation I am giving you now, so I'll be giving on that case study so that you will be understood. So this is the core part of it. Right? So let me explain that case study then to you. Right. So whatever the case study I may be showing you now, so this is a case study. I'll give you a brief idea, right? What exactly this case study is all about. Then I will be explaining the points whichever I have mentioned here in relating to that. Now, this case study all about, whatever the case study I have taken is a case study of a point of sale system. So what is point of sale system? Point of sale system is a billing system which is used at the retail stores for billing purpose. Now, there is a company called Bedding Shop Systems. It's an organization. It's a product-based company, I can say, because there are two different services will be provided in IT. I told earlier, right? So one is project-based, second is product-based. Project-based means we were developing a solution for a particular customer. For a particular customer, we are providing a solution. Whatever the requirements we were taking, everything is confined only to that, tailor-made according to the need of the client. But whereas when it comes to project-based product-based company, we are developing a product, depends on the market conditions, followed by the market demands, all that. And we are developing a solution accordingly. That's what and how the difference you see from project-based to product-based companies are. So these are the two differences. One is product-based company. Second is project-based companies. Project-based company exclusively design solution for a particular customer, whereas product-based company means you are developing a product and you are providing solutions accordingly. Now, Bedding Shop Systems is an organization which is a product-based company. They have more than 20 years of experience in the field of providing in-store solutions for retail outlets, for retailers and all that. So like different products they develop, like point of sale system, inventory management, supply chain, right? So these are the things. They are exclusively designed solutions and all everything for retail domain. That's what their experience is. Now, these people has provided services for their customers for a very long time successfully. But over a period of time, they have identified regular retailers. Means I'm not specifying the retailers who are the high-end people. Startups or mid-level and low-level retailers are facing a problem in managing point of sale systems due to different reasons. Because if you see a retailer who is small in percentage size, usually they may not have the infrastructure capacity, right? So managing the infrastructure, all these will be a difficult and challenging task to them. It's not easy for them to manage because infrastructure, if there is any problem, right? So repairing it, all these things are really tedious for these retailers to perform it. But still they were using it. As these applications were very old, there are some performance issues even they were getting. Due to that, they were facing few problems. Now, by keeping view of this into account, bedding shop systems wants to introduce a kind of solution which is called a cloud-based point of sale system, right? So cloud-based point of sale system means the application of POS will be developed on the cloud environment using a cloud service provider. So they had an certified partner who is for Microsoft, so that they have chosen Windows Azure platform, because if you want to develop a cloud application, you require a cloud platform to develop it, like something like AWS, right? Amazon Web Services, Windows Azure, two prominent cloud service providers across industry. So big ones, right? Of course, there are a few more even cloud service providers are available outside. So they have chosen Windows Azure as a platform so that they want to develop application using Windows Azure platform. So they want to develop a cloud application. So people will use this application on the cloud environment. So if it is a cloud account, what is required? You require a login credentials is sufficient. You don't require anything else apart. You simply require a login credentials. You don't require anything. Simply log into the cloud account and use it. Data, everything will be stored on cloud. At the same time, if any reports to be generated, everything can be viewed on the cloud environment. You don't require anyone's human intervention here. So whoever are the users, login credentials will be given to them account. And this can be customized even. If it is a big organization, they can customize, tailor it according to their needs to some extent, not to the full extent. Even for small retailers, whatever the basic cloud application, that is sufficient for them, right? So that can be tailored. So this is what they have developed. Bedding shop systems has identified the problems, and they have developed a cloud-based point of sale system, and it was used successfully in one of its customer, who is called Gusi Group. So they have a new venture called Bottega Veneta. So they have used it in their retail store successfully. They have achieved the success even. So this is what generally the case study for this cloud-based point of sale system. There must be a name for the product, right? If you're developing a product, there must be a name. So the name they have mentioned it as Ekite. Ekite is what the name they have mentioned it for that product. Cloud-based point of sale system product name called Ekite. Now, interpret yourself that you are a business analyst, right? First of all, think from that perspective, because being a business analyst, especially fundamental points for two. When you are trying to understand or when you want to work as a business analyst, you always think from two perspectives. Depends on the scenario and the situation. First of all, you need to think from a perception of a BA sometimes. Sometimes you have to think from the end user perspective. So these are the two different perspectives which, being a business analyst, our mind should be managed with. Because always you start thinking from a business analyst, you will be stopped somewhere, right? So you don't go more than that. Because the problem is you have not put your legs into the shoes of a customer or an end user, whoever they are. What practical problems are they facing? May or may not be able in a position to understand to you, right? So that was the practical scenario, practical problem. The reason why, understanding about the perception, views of the end user or a customer. End user may be anyone, right? So if you're taking a point of sale system, end users may be a couple of people, right? So it may be an what we called it may be an a person who do billing, right? So it may be a person who is performing inventory management system, maybe a store manager. So different people were there. So multiple people are involving in using that application. So their perceptions and their expectations, demands, their expectations, everything we have to consider. I don't say that everything has to be accepted, because there must be a commonality we have to see end of the day that is required essentially. So this is what usually the case study is all about. So now you interpret yourself that you are a business analyst for a company called Bidding Shop Systems. You guys were developing a cloud-based point of sale system. Now, when you talk about the business situation, this is first of its kind, as I told you, because whatever you have done so far earlier was, you have understood the business analysis, planning and monitoring, stakeholder engagement, all that you have done. The second thing is JAT session. You have done the JAT session. You have invited all the people. By keeping this case study, you understand, right? So you have invited all the people, you understood. So now the third one, enterprise analysis, where you're understanding the business need. You're assessing the capability gaps. Understanding the business need here means what exactly the need of the business, right? So defining the business need. So if you want to define the business need, first of all, based on the case study, you need to understand what could be the requirements of the customer in future to take a cloud-based POI system. So this could be for multiple reasons. For example, one retail store wants to open multiple stores across industry, across places in future. So standalone point of sale systems are difficult to manage, because if there is any technical problem arises, providing solutions for them and all, everything will be difficult. So it is always preferable to have a cloud-based point of sale system. So they can take cloud accounts, simple, and they can use it accordingly, right? So they don't see much difficulty in doing it. So that is what generally goal or an objective might be, right? So because when you are developing an application or when you are providing a solution, being a solution provider, you have to think from the customer perspective, user perspective, because you are investing your time, you are investing your money, so you're investing your efforts to do that. So there must be a long standing, right? So there must be a long-term vision is required. You need to have that long-term vision. In this process, usually this is what generally you need to understand. So this is what generally the defining the business need stands for. You need to define the business need. Next, assessing the capability gaps, nothing but existing versus proposed. This is what we call it as gap analysis. Means, why are we developing cloud-based point of sale system, for what reason? And what was the existing traditional point of sale system? What was the existing traditional point of sale system? what are the different features and functionalities which are involved in it, and how different it must be in reference to the existing cloud-based point of sale system. That is what the difference where being a business analyst you need to understand. That is what are we doing under assessing the capability gaps. Followed by this, you need to determine the solution approach, where you need to understand what kind of solution are you going to provide. Assume that we have not given any solution so far. Assume that, right? So you need to understand the solution approach. Of course, as it is a case study, I have given the case exact solution here, but assume that there was no solution, right? There was only a problem, right? There is no solution, there is only a problem. If that was the case, you need to determine the solution approach. Followed by this, you need to define the solution scope of the project given. Means what possibilities do we have? Yesterday I have explained, right? So scope of the project, all that. And finally, you need to define the business case. So here, to define the business case in reference to the case study, if you are a BA, so these are the points you need to understand. First of all, you need to understand the business situation. So whose business situation are you understanding here? Business situation of regular retailers you are understanding. Why? Because there is a problem which was inherited in it, right? Business problems in the situation. So if you want to study about the business problems in the situation, if you see in the case study, so there was the third paragraph where the information was mentioned very clear. What was that? System performance and data centralization have always been key, but POS technology has traditionally not delivered this to everybody's satisfaction. It means indirectly what is that it was saying? System performance and data centralizations are important for a point of sale system, but unfortunately, regular traditional point of sale system, because traditional POS system we were using for a very long time, all the store owners. Maybe the application that time it was good, but you cannot say no, right? Because let's say, for example, using mobile is mandatory at one point in time for us, that to a QWERTY keypad mobile. But can we use the same QWERTY keypad mobiles nowadays just because of that we're using for a very long time? The structure of the mobile has changed, design has changed, depends on the requirements, either personally or professionally, to all the individuals across world. Designs have changed a lot. Just because of that, we are using QWERTY keypad mobile earlier. Now, if you see the purpose now, you can see hardly 30% of your purpose will be solved. Why? Because with the QWERTY keypad mobile, what is that you can do is simply you can receive calls and you can make calls. That's it. You can't do anything. But whereas now, using Android phones, iPhones, you are connecting to internet using 4G, 5G, all that. You are browsing, you are identifying the locations, right? So you are downloading apps, right? So you are storing the data, right? So you are sending images, videos, all that. You're doing transactions, financial transactions we are doing now. So we are connecting across world through a social networking, personally either by Facebook and all, professionally either through LinkedIn, all that. So if you want to send any message to your friends and all, everything, you're doing it in seconds time. Or if you are want to send your information or an email or something to your office, even though you are somewhere, it's matter of second time. Simply you can open your Gmail account and you can send an email to the people that I may be late or something, whatever it is, right? So the communication system has changed to an extent possible, right? So from the traditional QWERTY keypad mobile to an Android iPhone, maybe in future, maybe there may be some other technologies may come. So the basic structure of the communication remains constant, right? So everywhere that is standard, but just because of that, world has not stopped there. right? It has gone to the next level. So technology, it has a nature. So what is that we need to understand? Either it is a mobile or it's an application. Technology has a nature. What was the nature? Upgrading. Upgrading it to the next level is what the technology's nature. As long as you are understanding that, we can move further. That was the point. Now, if you take the existing application, coming back again to the case study, if you take the existing traditional point of sale system, traditionally should have this. That's what they were saying. But unfortunately, traditional point of sale system doesn't have a provision of system performance in data centralization. So these are the business situation problems which, being a business analyst team, we need to understand. Why is it system performance in data centralization is required? Because system performance, you want to understand about the different systems. What are the different systems do we have, right? So in order to make your billing and all everything faster, you require system performance, right? So system performance to make your work much faster. Second, data centralization. Data centralization, you are managing different stores in different locations where you want to centralize the data, where you want to prepare a reports, depends on the store wise, depends on the time wise, all that. So when is it possible? When you are decentralizing the data. So when you are, sorry, when you are centralizing the data, when you are managing the system performance by considering the present condition into an account, it is more helpful to you. But unfortunately, that's what it was given, that the traditional point of sale system is not providing this to everybody's satisfaction. So this is what generally the business situation followed by the business problem is what, being a business analyst, you need to understand. Now, the third point, how important to us to provide the solutions to the customer. How important means based on the present market conditions, based on the present needs and demands, one must upgrade their applications or services to the next level to the customer, right? So if the same service you provide to your customer, even though they are loyal and long customers for a very long time, due to the service problems, customer may feel reluctant to come to your store again and again due to the delays, all that, right? So this is what the importance, being a business analyst, what is that we need to understand in a process of understanding the business problem situation, all that. Now, what are the alternatives to provide solution? Because remember, as it is a case study, I have given the solution. Even some time back, I have told even. So case study was already done. So case study, in this case study, we have given cloud-based POS system as a solution. But in reality, solution you need to define. Business analyst team, you means as a team I'm talking about, don't consider yourself as a BA or someone, right? So you as a business analyst as well as your team members should identify the solution. That solution may not comes with immediate effect, right? So you need to consider the problem, right? So you need to understand the budget, right? So budgetary constraints will also be there, right? So there are different feasibilities we have to see, because feasibility study also has to be done here. So what is feasibility? Feasibility study, right? Feasibility means possibility, right? So this is what it is. This feasibility of different types. One is economic or financial feasibility, technical feasibility, operational feasibility, and regulatory feasibility. Right? So all these feasibility studies we have to do. So economic or financial feasibility means how is it feasible in terms of the financials, ROI, return of investment. So what is that? Are we investing from our side? And what is the return are you going to get? How financially it is viable, that we have to see. Next, technical feasibility. Technically, is it possible for us to develop the solution? If that was the case, is it viable to develop a cloud-based point of sale system? Why? Because the cloud service provider, whoever you are choosing, should be good. Point number one. Second, that cloud services, survey providing those services and all, everything is available across the places where uh, you are providing services to your customers, right? So you need to consider all that. So when you are providing a solution, you have to cautious, but you need to understand the alternatives. Providing cloud-based point of sale system is not comes on a overnight thing, right? So normally in real environment, we will be coming up with different alternatives, right? So because there is a brainstorming session or brainstorming, which is that we do within the groups, we come up with different alternatives. We come up with different what we called perceptions and all, everything we will be expecting. So based on that, we come to a conclusion, right? So what was the uh, situation and all that? So why is the situation? What kind of solution is something viable for us? So what kind of solution is easy for? Because see, for example, if I'm coming with a product to you, the very first thing what is that you'll be asking with to me is that why, right? Why should I buy, right? So why should I take your product, right? What was the reason behind it? Can you tell me one strong reason why should I buy a project from you? Because there were other products are available in the market. Why should I buy? How it is different, right? So these are the practical questions where you must be ready to answer, being a solution provider, right? So you need to understand the alternatives. Is there any alternatives you have? If yes, what are those alternatives? Otherwise, final conclusion is cloud-based. Next, who is going to benefit out of it? Because when you are trying to understand the uh, when you're trying to understand the problem of the customer, or when you are trying to understand and providing solutions to the customer, you always think from a beneficiary perspective. Who are your beneficiaries, right? So what kind of beneficiaries do you have? So who is beneficiary here? Retail store owners are the beneficiaries, right? Retail store owners are the beneficiaries. End users, who are end users here? End users may be an billing person, right? So billing person used to perform the billing part. Inventory person to manage the stock positions, all that. Maybe a store manager who may be required for to download the reports when it is required to know about the status of uh, the sales, all that stuff, right? So we need to understand who are the beneficiaries and what are their expectations. This is again, you can connect this with stakeholder engagement, right? So there you can connect with who are beneficiaries and how important these beneficiaries are important for us. At the same time, last but not least, you need to understand the business and project objectives. You know, business objectives which are connecting to the goal and vision of the customer, what is that they are achieving. Followed by this project objective is now something nothing but the business objective, what we have defined. Why? Because this is what the solution we need to provide. So if you are provide, you have come up with cloud-based POS system, because this cloud-based POS system useful for both the parties. It is for a small retailer and is even for a big retailer. Why? Because small retailer doesn't require any infrastructure to manage with. It is easy for them to manage, right? So they don't see much difficulty in doing it. So this is the advantage for a small retailer. So with a minimum infrastructure, they can use the application without having any problem, nothing. As it is a cloud account, if there is any problem, cloud services will be provided. So no manual presence is needed. Everything happens online. So that no presence, nothing, right? So no delay in time, all that. For retailers who are big in percentage, they, as long as they have multiple stores, they can take multiple accounts, right? So they can take multiple login credential accounts can be taken and they can use it, right? So that way also they are beneficial. So by keeping all these view in mind, being a business analyst, you guys have identified developing a cloud-based point of sale system is what you guys have identified in a company called Pedinshop Systems, right? So this is how generally you need to understand the business situation, right? So you need to understand the business situation of any of the case study. This is what and how generally business situation comes into picture. I hope you guys have understood what is that I said, right? So next, again, let me continue these 2 points. Technical feasibility we have to see. Operational feasibility. Operational feasibility means solution what is that you are providing should be compatible to the users to use it, right? So they should not find any difficulty in managing all that. So that is what we have to see. This is what we call it as operational feasibility all about, right? So what is the operational feasibility? All that we have to see. Followed by the operational feasibility, the next is regulatory feasibility. Regulatory feasibility means what standards, policies, and procedures do you require to follow? All these things comes under regulatory feasibility. So when you're talking about feasibility study, there are 4 different things. One is financial feasibility is what we have to see. How financially viable is this? So technical feasibility, what are the technical challenges do we have and how to overcome that? Next, operational feasibility, what are the operational challenges, perceptions do we have, all that? Followed by this regulatory feasibility, what are the regulatory standards, policies, procedures do we require to follow? All these things comes under the feasibility study part. This is all comes under business case, right? So which is comes under enterprise analysis. This is what you need to study in the 3rd level. Whereas the next one are we talking about is requirement lifecycle management. So when you talk about requirement, right? So when you talk about requirement lifecycle management, the next one was that, right? So after enterprise analysis, all that. So once we understood the business situation, requirement lifecycle management. So here you need to understand what are all the requirements and how these requirements to be managed, right? So assume that you are developing a cloud-based point of sale system. You need to, first of all, you need to understand and trace out the requirements. So there are different tasks being a BA we need to do. The first thing is that you need to trace the requirements. Second, you need to maintain the requirements. Third, you need to prioritize the requirements. Fourth, you need to assess the requirement changes. Followed by this, you need to approve the requirements. Because whatever we have taken will not be taken into an account. Because we must see few things. One is it viable for us or not? Whatever the requirements we have taken were adequate or not, right? So all these things we have to understand. This is where generally requirement lifecycle management is what we do. This is the next one. In this requirements lifecycle management, the very first thing what is that we need to do is that we need to trace out the requirements. Why do we trace the requirements? Because there are 2 different people. One is development team, second is testing team. What development team do? Development team write a code, right? Written a code. For example, addition of 2 numbers. 1 plus 2 equal to 3, right? So this was the code written by the developer, right? So to write it and as well as to provide solution, there are some structure which was defined by the end user. Now, when it comes to the testing team has to authorize. Is it according to the standards? Is it according to the procedures? What generally people were following or not, right? So that is what generally we call it as testing team. That's the reason why normally testing team will perform 2 different things. If you remember testing activities, when I explained, I told you testing activities are defined into 2 different things. One is manual testing. Second is automation testing. Okay, manual testing. Second is automation testing. So what is manual testing? Manual testing means here they prepare documents, right? So they don't use any tools and all. They prepare documents, something like test cases, test plans, all that. Test cases, plans, etc. All these things will be prepared. Means how the, for example, you are creating a login page. What are all should be there in the login page? How should it looks like? Right. So there is a document they have to prepare for that. Now, whenever there is a developer has done the development, whenever the developer has written a code for a particular functionality, they have to test this with their test case. What is that they have prepared? So when they are comparing it, there are two different results. One is expected result, second is actual result. Expected result is what customer is expecting. Actual result is what developer has completed. So if expected as well as actual result are both are same, test condition is considered as pass. If both are not same, test condition is considered as fail, right? So this is the standard format which normally we follow. This is where and what generally test cases will be there. So for that, generally this manual testing and all everything will be done by us. This is all comes under the manual testing part. This is one category. Second, automation testing. Automation testing means what are the different tools are we using? This is all about. Means customer has written a code, right? How to test the code? What is the procedure to test the code, right? So what is the automation process and the procedure are we following? All these things comes under automation testing. Automation testing means what are the different tools like Selenium, Silk, WinRunner, LoadRunner. There are a lot of tools are involved in it. Using these tools and all that, so whatever the code was written by the team, so that will be tested by them, right? So if there are any errors they have identified, again that errors will be prepared as a document format, again resubmitting to the testing to the development team, so that development team will do the changes and all everything according, right? So this is what generally the structure, what is that we follow. So this is what we call it as the testing activity. So there is an always connect which is essentially required between use case to test case. This is required. So use case to test case, there is a connect is required. Use case from development perspective, whereas test case is a testing perspective. Use case is a user development perspective. Test case is a testing perspective. So this is what we call it as forward, and this is what we call it as backward. Forward means connecting that from use case to test case is what we call it as forward traceability. Second, we call it as backward trace. Backward means test cases to use case, right? Test case to use case is what we call it as backward trace. So this is where generally the tracing of requirements is what we have to do here. So when you're talking about the tracing of requirements and the requirements lifecycle management, what is that we need to do is that normally testing team, usually this is where generally testing team will be involved, because testing team, as I told you, testing team will be involved even in the stages of requirements when they have gathered. So they prepare a matrix called RTM. RTM stands for Requirement Traceability Matrix. In this requirement traceability matrix, what is that they do? Whatever the requirements as a part of development will be developed by the team, that they are comparing with the testing one. So both they are comparing, both use cases followed by the test cases. So comparing from use case to test case is what we call it as forward traceability. Comparing from use case to test case is what we call it as backward traceability. If both are same, test condition, we consider it as pass. Otherwise, if both are not same, what was that and all everything, they prepare documents and those documents again will be resubmitted. So this is what we have to do when you talk about tracing of the requirements as a part of requirement lifecycle management. This is the first thing. What is that? Being a team, not only a business analyst team, of course, even a technical team in terms of the testing team and all, everything will be involved in it to trace out the requirements, because requirements we has given in reference to the use cases, that is you have given, right? So you as a business analyst was given. What are the requirements? For example, if you have taken the case study as an example here. Now, so assume that for a cloud-based point of sale system, these are the features you have identified. What are that? CRM loyalty program is one feature. Franchisee multi-location was second. Hardware cash register, third. Inventory management system, 4. Loss prevention, 5. Payments, 6. Reporting analytics, 7. Software, 8. 24/7 support, 9. So these are the features being a what we called being a service provider, being a solution provider, you guys have identified. But this feature itself is not sufficient. What is it required? You need to develop some functionalities. These are, we call it as requirements. These are, we call it as requirements. For example, if you take inventory management system, what is the requirement here? You need to print labels and tags for all the products, so that whenever you scan the product, automatically the product name will be displayed on the POS, right? So this is what printing labels and tags is. Next, you need to import the products from the manufacturer. Next, you need to consolidate product database. Whatever the product database you have and all, always you need to consolidate that. Next, you need to design and you need to define the multiple product codes to the products. What is that? So these are the functionalities which developer has to develop as a code in reference to the inventory management system, if you can call it as a feature. So unless until if there is no feature called inventory management system, whatever I have mentioned, whatever is that I have mentioned here, these doesn't have any value at all. So there are some functionalities, these we call it as requirements. So these requirements, so how the requirement should looks like, how the requirements code has to write. So who has to do that? Normally developers will write the code. So that will be tested by the testing team. That's the reason why there is an Excel sheet which I'll be showing you for requirement traceability matrix will be like this. They'll prepare this Excel sheet. So this Excel sheet consists of these points. Yeah, here you can see in an Excel sheet, there will be an ID number. Of course, project name, project manager name, all these will be there. There will be an ID number will be given. ID number, again, requirement ID, each and every requirement. For example, this is a requirement ID number, right? So this is one requirement. For example, this is one requirement, right? So this is associated. Again, in this requirements, there could be some sub requirements. So associated requirement ID is what we need to mention. Next, here, what assumption or a customer need for the particular requirement will be mentioned here. Followed by this, the description has to be written here. Now, this is a continuous process which testing team do. This is not a single day activity. This is an activity they have to perform throughout the project, right? Not on a single day. Because like this, there are hundreds of requirements will be there in real environment. So they need to write down the description of that particular requirement followed by the need of the customer. Followed by this, they need to write down mention the status. What was the status? Is it in progress? Is that particular requirement? As days goes on, I'm saying, right? As in a progress of it, I'm talking about. This is not in the first day itself, right? Is that requirement is in the progress stage, or is it in the testing stage, or it is completed? So they have to mention the status. Next, what type of requirement is this? Is this a functional requirement? Is it a non-functional requirement? Is it a security requirement? Now, functional requirement. Functional requirement is for development perspective, user perspective. Non-functional requirement is nothing but performance scalability. For example, 1 + 2 = 3. This is the functionality. What is non-functionality? How fast you have got the result. You have given 1 + 2, you have pressed the enter button. Within fraction of these many seconds, you have to get a result called 3. That too in accurate manner, right? You should not get 4. You have to get 3. That in how many seconds you have got this? This is what we call it as accuracy. So this accuracy is nothing but non-functional requirement. Non-functional requirement explains you about the character of a particular functionality. How should it behave? How should it act? That's what we call it as non-functional requirement. Means, for example, if a customer is performing a billing, an end user, for example, billing person, retail store owner says, this billing time should not be more than this much. Why? Because this is the fundamental rule. Then only there will be no queue will be maintained in a store for a long time. Otherwise, what will happen, as long as the system performance is not good, automatically people have to stand on a queues for a long time. So this is what we call it as non-functional requirements are. So functional requirements we have to consider. We have to consider the non-functional requirements. At the same time, we need to understand the security requirements as well, right? So what are the security? Security means what security standards, policies, procedures you are taking. Is there any security things and all everything will be mentioned under this type. Next, what kind of priority? Is it a low priority? Is it a medium priority? Is it a high priority? This particular requirement, I am addressing it, right? I'm talking to. Next, complexity. How complex is this? Is it a low level complex, medium, or high level complex? Now, to whom this requirement is being assigned to? Next, where this particular requirement is there in the document? What are the documents technical team will prepare? Where this particular document was there in it. Next, technical specification. In which technical specification this requirement was laid down? Next, is there any software components, system components are using? Any hardware or software components you are using? For example, for billing, yes, you require hardware component, like barcode readers, scanners, all that you require. But if you want to consolidate inventory management system, you don't require any components. Why? Because whatever the data you have maintained, report generation is sufficient. But whereas for billing, it is not it, right? You require a hardware component. What was that? You need to scan the product. Whenever you scan the product, automatically the product name will be displayed there. All these things comes under system components. Next, in which software module is this belongs to? That particular functionality. For example, if this is the module, consider it as a module. Consider it as a module. Inventory loss prevention is a module. In this loss prevention, there is one functionality term called receipt collection, or right. So receipt collection. This is one functionality. This is one functionality. This is where generally, right, in this particular functionality belongs to which software module is this. For that, what was the test case number you are giving? Because for a use case, for every use case functionality, there is a number given. The same number will be applied for test case number as well. So both should be considered as pass. Otherwise, both has to be compared. Next, testing. In which testing environment we have tested this? Where are we implementing this? At the same time, whether it is verified or not. If it is verified, what are the additional comments you are going to write? So this is what generally the requirement traceability matrix which testing team has to prepare. Why? Because end of the day, who has to authenticate and authorize the work? Authentication and authorization has to be done by the testing team. Now here is a question: why are we learning them? So being a business analyst, why are we learning? Why? Because requirements, who is going to provide? If you talk about use case requirements, or what are the requirements I am talking about, these requirements in reference to this, who is going to provide all this? Business analyst has implemented. Business analyst team has prepared all this. Implementation, developer do, right? How this works, right? How the mobile payment hardware functionality functions. Code will be done by the developer, but who has to detail the requirements? What are all things should be there? Who has to give this? This information must be given by the business analyst. That's the reason why, as far as the tracing out the requirements itself is concerned, when you talk about requirement traceability matrix, why is it required for a business analyst? Because use case requirements or the requirements, whatever is relating for the project. So those will be given by the business analyst. This is what we call it as tracing the requirements stands for. Followed by this, maintain the requirements. How do you maintain the requirements? That I'm going to explain in tomorrow session. Right? So the session was done for today. Now, let me see the questions. Any questions on this?
Raz, the requirement traceability metrics will done by BA, right? Because you
Not
said
by the BA,
testing.
it is majorly done by the
Okay.
the testing team.
Okay.
Why are we knowing? Because the use case requirements will be given by us. That's the reason why we should know it. That's what the point. Understood? Clear? Understood or not?
Yeah.
Because tracing out the requirements is what will be done by that testing team. Testing team, end of the day, testing team has to identify, right? Whether, for example, if I'm a developer, whether what is that I have done was right or not, who has to authenticate that? That authentication authorization has to be done by the testing team. So the tracing of the requirements, that requirement traceability matrix, this Excel sheet, what is that I have shown some time back? This will be given by the testing team. This will be prepared. So why being a business analyst we require? Because we need to know, because use case requirements. What are the requirements preliminary? Because on our requirements only test cases, traceabilities and all will be done by the testing team. Otherwise, where is the parameter, right? Where is the base for that? Who has given the base? We have to give in the base. That is the answer. I hope you understood. See, expected result and actual result are two different things. Nandita, it is for your question. Expected result means, for example, you are a developer, you are a customer. What is that you want, you say, right? So this is what and how it looks like. That's what expected result. But can you expect the same thing being a developer I do? We have to cross check, right? So I've done something different. So what is that I have done is actual. If expected and actual results are both are same, test condition is considered as pass. Both are not same, test condition is considered as fail. Again, where I have done wrong, testing people will prepare a document. Again, that will be submitted back to me. Again, I'll do the recorrections on it. That's what generally expected versus actual results are. Normally that they'll prepare testing, test case documents and all they prepare. Manual testing they do. They will prepare there itself by the testing team. Just now I have told you, Raj, for your question, I have just answered it already. So in what way being a business analyst we are involving in traceability is use case requirements will be given by us. That's what the involvement here. I hope you understood. Because see, you are a tester, for example. On what basis you will be testing it? You will be testing something based upon the requirements what you have received. Who has given it? Are you being a tester? Are you doing it on your own? No, right? Some business analyst has to give the requirements to you. That is what the connect we have. Simple. Yeah, I'll remind to Manik regarding yesterday recording.
Raj, I have a question. So in case of the requirement traceability matrix, when the BA gives the use case to the testing team, so after they input all the information in the RTM, what's the role of the BA after that? I mean, do they cross check on it? How do they do that?
Because see, practically I'll tell you, I think who is this question?
Anshika.
Archana. Arshika, yeah. See, practically I'll tell you one thing. Whatever the screen I have shown you is an Excel sheet. Okay. But if you see the reality, requirements will be in hundreds. Sometimes
Yes.
requirements will be 500, 600 requirements will be there, right? Requirements are not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 10, right? Requirements will keep on coming. So normally there is a application usually in organizations they use called ALM. ALM stands for Application Lifecycle Management Tool. ALM, the best example is HPQC, HPALM, in different names we call it as. So there is an application lifecycle management tool where this requirement traceability matrix, whatever the Excel sheet I have shown you all that. So these will be uploaded there and requirements will be constantly updating here. For example, there were, assume that I have written 5 now, right? Maybe 5 more were coming maybe after a couple of days or something. Automatically those requirements will be updated in the requirement traceability matrix. So testing team's job is this. This is not by the BA. Where BA comes into picture, whether whatever the requirements you are giving is really important for the customer or not, is what being a BA you have to see. But end of the day, whatever the requirement you have given, how end of the day this requirement should looks like, whose responsibility is this? This is the responsibility of a testing team to perform with. How come testing team do that? They cannot do it manually, right? So they can do by preparing this requirement traceability matrix, where this will be incorporated in a tool, because every organization to manage their applications, there are different tools. Of course, whatever the name I have mentioned is only one, because some organizations they have their own tools. They won't they manage their own tools and all. So what is that they do? These sheets and all everything will be integrated with their application lifecycle management tools. So whenever there is a requirements comes, for example, this is how generally the test case they will prepare. I think it's a test case document. I will show you 1 minute.
Sorry to interrupt you. Is it done by the automation team or the manual? Do you know?
See, traceability of requirements, requirement traceability matrix, the major role will be played by the testing team. Again, I'm repeating, not by the business analyst team. Point number 1 to be noted. Point number 2. Then why are we learning? This I have told a couple of times. Again, I'm repeating. Why are we learning? Because requirements will be given by us. If you have not given the requirements, testing team cannot do anything. That's the reason why we had a connect with this. Did you understand now?
No, my question is it comes under the manual or automation testing, or both has?
This manual only. This one is manual, because this is all Excel sheets, Word documents, everything is manual format.
Okay, thank you.
These are the manual formats. Automation, they will prepare automation as separate. Automation means they have to use different tools, all that. So there will be a test case document I'll be showing tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll show you. I think they must be somewhere. Yes, I will show you the test case document, how it looks like, so that you will get an idea. No problem. Okay. So I think this is what the point is, right? So what is that we have discussed is only about tracing up the requirements. So what I have to show is that how the test case document looks like, that I will show you. I think it is there in my other system. Let me see that repository. I will copy it and I'll show you. So the test case document, how that looks like, so that you will be understood. It's not a big trouble thing, right?
Yes, I have one question.
Hey, Raj.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead. I'm here. Please go ahead.
Yes, yeah. Actually, I just wanted to know that, it seems like this business analyst is a very vast chapter. So I'm just feeling nowadays that it's being more complicated, or it's being all like math. So like, is there anything like, can you just show us before, like, this is the main work of the business analyst, and then then you can just tell us like, these all are the below jobs below done under the BA.
I am not at all getting your question right. Can you make it very simple?
uh, it's like, it's all being like complicated, like, it's now being vast. So like, this all we all the BA and needs to know.
First of all, as you are a new attendee, for sure there is nothing wrong in it to say complicated. Point number one. Point number two, when you want to make up your career as a business analyst, you have to put your effort of your best. Third point, there is no shortcut for this. No complication, nothing. You are not writing any document, coding, you are not doing any testing. You are simply managing the requirements. So still, if you feel that requirements management is a complicated thing, I cannot answer for that. So there is no shortcut to learn. What
No.
is that you're learning? You have to do your own practice and you need to get perfect out of it. That
No.
is only the thing I can say.
Yes,
Right? There is no complication, nothing on this.
yes, I was just willing to know that, like, what are the basics, what are the main jobs of the BA, like, need to do.
I'm not getting your question at all. Can you repeat again?
Like, I'm just willing to answer what is the main job of the BA have to do.
So please go through the old recordings. I think you are missing the class recordings, whatever was posted by me, because I already explained what responsibilities being a business analyst you do and how this is going to be done. So please go through the class recordings and then come back so that I will explain to you. I'm happy to explain once and twice. I don't have any objection. But I think what is that I understood is that you are missing the basics. I think either you might not be attended the class or you might not been going through the recordings. So this is what the roles and responsibilities I have explained for almost 1 or 2 days. This is the major point I have explained during my initial sessions. What is that being a business analyst we do, and a high level note. In a detailed note, I started the knowledge areas one by one. I started, and this screen even I have shown and I've explained even. Which was that? 1 minute, I'll show you. There are some knowledge areas. Yes, these are the knowledge areas which I have started with business analysis, planning, requirement illustration, all that. Right. So this is all I've explained. So whatever are we discussing is enterprise analysis done. Now we are doing requirement lifecycle management is what we are doing. So these are the responsibilities which being a business analyst we do one after another. That is what I started. Please, my request is for you to go through the class recordings. What is that was shared with you so far, one by one, serial by serial, so that you will be knowing what BA do. What business analysts do, in a simple note, as you ask, I honor you. Business analyst is a person who act as a liaison between all the technical communities and business communities. Among stakeholders, in order to get rid of the confusions, whatever the coordination will be done by the BA. Either it is with the business owner or with the technical owner or with the project management team or with the development team. That coordination in terms of the requirements will be taken care of by the BA. Is it clear to you?
I guess. Thank you.
Right. Next, does BA has to solve the case study? See, case study for your understanding, I have given this, Dina, because it's not a case study. You can consider it as a project. For example, you guys are developing a cloud-based point of sale system. Consider that way, right? Because why I'm talking about case study, because it's a training. Because 100% implementation of the project won't be, because there must be a developer there, tester there, everybody should be there. But in real environment, all these people are there. Here you don't have. So our explanation and our training is completely focused on BA perspective, not by the developer perspective. Sometimes developer and tester comes in between and go. Right. So for example, now I have explained about requirement traceability matrix. Most of my explanation was focused on testing even. Why I have explained it? because there is a role of a BA tester is there. That's the reason why I have explained about the tester part and the responsibilities, right? So here it comes. Again, when you're talking about maintaining of requirements, then there I don't discuss about the tester, right? I will be discussing about BA there. So that is what. So it's not solving the case study, providing the solution for the customer. So in order to have a better understanding, this case study have shown you. That's it. That's only the thing. I think, hope you understood what I have answered. Yes,
Hey, Raj.
yesterday and today I have shared with you, Anshika. Yeah, you can go through that. Yes.
Raj, this is Vishnu with you. I don't see the
Yeah.
videos, the recorded videos. Where do I find them?
I didn't understand.
The recorded videos, the class videos. Where will I find them if I want to see
You
them
please
again?
contact Mr. Manik Vijay, because the recordings and all everything will be organized by Manik, because I'll be sharing only the session notes, because whatever the session notes I am preparing, this is what I am sharing. So recordings, you please ping to Manik, even I'll remind to Manik even. So Manik
Is
will
Manik
take care of
live?
all the recordings. Manik will take care of recordings, Vijay, because I'm not in a control of it. Manik will take care of it. So I'll
Okay.
remind Manik even regarding the same. Okay.
Right.
Any questions on this again? Okay. Okay, yeah, right. So this is all about it. And tomorrow we are discussing about the second point, how to maintain the requirements, is what I may be explaining in tomorrow's session. See you then. Bye.
Bye. All right. Goodbye, sir. Take care. Good night.
Thank you. See you.
Hmm?
Good night,
Hmm.
Raj.